Joe, what is the difference between Jesus and a picture of Jesus?
What?
You only need one nail to hang the picture of Jesus.
Almost. So close.
Almost. Okay.
It gets behind the bag.
We never get the close ones. What did Jesus say on the cross to the 12 apostles?
What?
Don't touch my Easter eggs. I'm coming back on Monday. See, usually I say, Peter, I can see your house from up here, but I figure Easter was yesterday, so I kind of, give a little something to the show. How the fuck did the Easter Bunny get in the mix of anyways, I don't know. Anyways, apologize for so many things that you were like. Welcome to Carnival Personnel. I'm Jacques.
Joe here.
And there's so much more of that to come from. Let's see. So, I usually start with the fat shaming, which, newsflash, do you know am I still fat?
Huh?
Exactly. Yes, I am. And it's not my fault, man. I had 3 great weeks, and then my oldest decided to spend the last week in the hospital with me, eating all this delicious hospital food that they brought to us 4 times a day.
Or as your younger son called it, room service.
It did feel like a hotel. You were there. I mean, a great view.
Yeah, for like 3 nights. They didn't kick me out.
You probably could have. We had this. I came this close to saying sweet, but it did. It was a mini vacation. When Joe saw all the pictures of the game room there, they had a really nice game room with an Xbox setup, a PS4, a pinball machine, one of those sit-down 80. It's not an emulator, or is it?
Yeah, it's emulation.
But it's those tabletop-like games. It had like 50 games.
Oh, it had 50 games?
Oh, it had. You can't name an 80s game that it did. It had Centipede and Millipede.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did it have the trackball?
It did not have the trackball.
Then it didn't have Centipede nor
true.
Millipede.
Well, it did, but not the
right.
authentic.
It's kind of like I have legs, but I'm not a soccer player. So I wouldn't call myself a soccer player.
It did have Dig Dug. Played a good deal of Dig Dug.
Oh, great. The classics.
So yeah, between the free food and the little one on it. But I did. I haven't even got on the scale.
The scale's like, yes.
But
it's a vacation for the scale.
Update, he's out of the hospital, but long rope. No one's tuning in to hear that, including me.
Well, my best wishes and thoughts and prayers
yeah, well,
go right out the fucking window.
It was very nice because Joe did come. He had a minor, surgery-ish type thing, but there's no minor thing when you're putting a kid anybody under anesthesia. If you're going under anesthesia, it's the real deal.
Right.
But it was nice. He came out of his his days, his fever dream, saw Joe and sat up and was like, "Hey, hi, Joe." And I think he went right back to sleep.
Oh God, that's pretty much the effect I have on most people.
Wait, you didn't even hear his routine yet. Let him start telling jokes before you fall asleep, you rude audience. And last Thursday, a final thank you shout out to those who couldn't get enough of our friend Rodney and Joe lamenting all that is about television game shows.
Lamenting is like you're looking back on with like some sadness.
Oh, so
we were waxing nostalgic
and poetic,
and other things.
But we couldn't fit that much goodness in one sideshow, so you broke it up into 2, and part 2 was Thursday, and that was great.
Yes, it was. And wait till you hear what's coming up this Thursday. I'm going to start saying Thursday and Monday like an asshole.
I was going to say, any special reason?
No, it's just like it's kind of a local colloquialism, like a local way of saying, like, hey, I'm going to go to church on Sunday, and then I'm going to go to the whorehouse on Monday, and I'm going to go here on Tuesday.
And we're not getting down to the craft stuff till later.
Sunday, Monday, happy days.
No, that can get you a punch in the nuts.
Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
So we do have a big or fun sideshow coming up. Our friend John, who was part of the 80s MIT Blackjack team, is coming on to tell us how to be degenerate gamblers.
Professional degenerate gamblers.
Joe, speaking about professional degenerate gamblers, I asked you last night, but I don't know, how did the sports betting guy do on Jeopardy?
So Thursday night's episode of Jeopardy last week, I did not see, nor have I seen Friday night's episode because we're recording right as Jeopardy's about to air. But on Wednesday night, he broke his own. This guy, James Holzhauer, broke his own Jeopardy single day record. Like he had previously won like $110,914 because I remember that because that was his daughter's birthday, 11/9/14. Booger. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's right. I think that was it. And he bested that by winning 113,000 and change. He's just a buzzsaw. Like there were two other contestants, and even Alex Trebek was like, Susie and Jenny, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What it's almost like I want to say, what does it feel like to walk into the buzz? Like they know what it feels like to walk into the buzzsaw. Yeah.
Walked
right into the buzzsaw.
So, because I saw on Twitter, Alex, they wrap shooting. So they tape
a month in advance.
Yeah. So they had taped in Alex Trebek again. Just post. It's like whatever roomies you're here. I'm still taking my treatment. I'm doing great. We already started prep for our 36th season. I am coming back, and I'm just looking at this guy, and you can tell he's lost some weight. You can see it in his face. I don't know if he's losing his hair or that's just nature, because whatever. But, I mean, he looked okay, but he didn't look, like he did at the beginning of the season. But just the class and dignity that this guy is fighting his stage 4 pancreatic cancer through and showing up for work every day.
There is no stage 5.
There is. Yes, there is. It's called Dirt Nap. But yeah, he is truly an inspiration.
And this morning I saw him post a video of his Funko Pop. Like he was promoting his little Funko Pop Alex Trebek's, the then Alex Trebek from the 80s with the mustache, like the Will Ferrell version.
That's great.
And the now version without the mustache and the gray hair. But he's got and each one is holding like a little question card or answer card. Is it? Yeah, it's an answer. All right, well, he's got he's the man with all the answers and whatever. That's an obscure Colbert Show reference. That the last episode of the Colbert Report. I think it was the last. No, it was like something like that. Colbert was like trying to look for the man with all the answers.
Oh,
and then at the very end, I think it was actually like the Christmas episode, and he boards a sleigh, and it's not Santa, it's Alex Trebek. And he's like, he's the man with all the answers. Anyways,
so for Patriots Day last week, I don't know if you saw it. Just quickly, I would have forgot, but the Colbert, they reposted like an 8-panel. Like slideshow of when the Boston Marathon tragedy happened, and his response to it was, I'm reading it, and it was funny, but still tear jerking. And he's like, "Do you know who these people are?" And it had a picture of like a pilgrim,
right.
And he's like, "These people were so badass, they had to put buckles to keep their hats on their head," and he goes through it, and it was like. Yeah, it is not. I do not mean to put it on the same level as a 9/11 type thing, but here it's always going to be like there will never be a Boston Marathon without me remembering exactly where I was in Qatar when I'm listening to sports radio and they break in, with it and stuff like that.
I mean, I lived in Boston, still do, and I remember we went in basically into martial law for like an afternoon. Like they just locked down when they had these guys on the run. Boston holed themselves up so that the police could scour the streets, and eventually they found Joe Karsanayev in a Watertown backyard boat. And it was after the all clear. It was like basically like the all clear. A guy went out to get a smoke in his backyard, and he sees there's like some blood stained on on the side of his boat. And that's when the police zeroed in.
We've never off the air talked about this. Why not now? What do you think about going into lockdown? Because I
loved it.
I'm 8,000 miles away.
Fucking loved it. I was I hate going outside. So when the police tell me stay inside, I'm all for it. I loved it only because it was, it was almost like I felt like I was doing something, like I was actually contributing and like helping in some weird fucked up way, because you feel helpless in this situation. You got these assholes who just committed this crime, and now they're on the loose. And then all of a sudden, the police basically get on the air and say, like, we're shutting down the city. And I mean, I didn't live in Boston, but it was like the greater Boston area.
Watertown is just as far away from the Prudential building or Fenway as you are.
Yeah, I had lived in Somerville at the time.
Okay.
No, wait.
Yeah,
No, I was here. That's right. I was here. Okay. Jesus. Yeah. All right. I told you I checked out earlier. Remember?
You did.
But yeah, I kind of felt like I was actually doing my part. I mean, yeah, it is kind of weird to like look back on it and say, okay, well, it is basically martial law, but it's not really. It was like martial law is like, you have a curfew and you have to go in and stuff like that on a regular basis. But this was like, there was a purpose, there was a goal, and it didn't extend for days. I'm sure that if it had gone a couple of days, that's a major toll in the city to ask, like the entire city to just, but by the way, don't go to work, don't do anything. We need to keep the streets clear.
But, I know some people made a big thing about it. It's like infringing on your rights, and it's like, dude, the Patriot Act did that, but this was a one time, and it like the alarmists, like with the gun control. Well, if you pass one thing, the next thing we can't
Slippery
throw rocks,
slope, man.
right? It's never been enacted again, However, never, ever had a twinge to ever go see the movie with Marky Mark there.
No, although my sister had lived on the street where they had filmed the scene, and they paid her. Like, they basically shut the scene down, or they shut the street down, and it was like the shootout. It was like a shootout scene, it was pretty. It was pretty. I don't know if it was. Maybe it wasn't a shootout scene. It was. What the hell was it? Like, I think it was maybe like when they were zeroing in on him and that kind of scene. But it was like, they would have to do take after take after take, and it was just like, crashing and alarms blaring and sirens blaring, and But basically, it was like, okay, we're going to take over the street. You stay inside your house. I mean, basically, like what they did during the Boston Marathon, except she got paid for it. So. Not a bad deal. She went to Mexico on the money.
Really?
It was like a couple $1,000 or something like that. Like
Nice.
$1,000 or something. Yeah. So I don't mean telling tales out of school, but it's probably. I think she made more money than the Boston Marathon movie made.
I saw clips. I'm like, I don't need this.
Yeah, like I didn't want to see the World Trade Center movie with Nicolas Cage either.
No, that movie. The actual movie plays on a pretty much continuous loop of any of us who saw it.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty dire. But happy Patriots Day. Then.
So by the time we report, take 9. By the time we
take 9, I already have one cookie.
By the time we record the podcast next week, my voice just cracked. Did I become Peter Brady? The world will be a vastly different place. I don't know if my childhood is about to come to an end, and big changes are coming, Joe. The world will never be the same come next week's recording of the podcast.
I know the Avengers are ending.
Exactly. The end game comes out next Thursday, which I'll tell you the story after, but I was fully expecting you to be going with us, but somebody else gave the ticket away. Not really happy about that.
All right. Interesting.
It is interesting. It is.
Well, A, that you bought me a ticket without asking, and then B, that you're telling me that
How often do I do that, Joe? You're showing up here. Well, Norm McDonald.
You did that for the podcast, right? I did that with you for the podcast, or for Norm McDonald. Yeah,
But when important things like that, but yeah, it's I'm so giddy and conflicted because it is, like we talked a little bit last week, it's the end of an era. It's an end of there's endings coming up.
I don't see how your childhood is ending. I mean, this thing started 10 years ago.
But this childhood.
Your middle childhood.
But it is. We talked between Star Wars, like the last of this incarnation that started in 1977. Final chapter wraps up, December, we already saw. But with Endgame coming out, I mean, again, we know We know Chris Evans is gone. We know Robert Downey Jr. is gone. We don't know if they're gone because they die in this or they decide it's time to move on and there will be a new captain, like, you know, a new person picking up the mantle or the shield. Yeah,
I wonder if they're going to do like, right, what you think you're going to see, Steve Rogers like walking down a road, like thumbing a ride and playing the Incredible Hulk music.
Yeah, I mean, it's let's face it, like we know Spider-Man is coming back, you know, we know the Black Panther's coming back. Those franchise will be a part of the next phase that Marvel has. But a lot of, you know, there will be another Ant-Man, there will be another Spider-Man, there will be another Black Panther, there will be other of these movies. They're not going to stop making them, obviously, but this is the end for, you know, the big three, you know, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. It's, you know, it's Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and Robert Downey Jr.'s contract, you know, are all done, all their obligations, and they've all said, wow, this was a great journey. I was so happy and proud to be part of it. Time to move on. So,
yeah. So how many tissues will you be bringing during the
3.5 hours? Yeah, I'm just going to bring a whole box of, like, you know, I don't have tissues. I'm just going to be like the 2-ply, like, you know, because those are going to be quite hefty tears.
Why don't you just use your dress?
That's sexist.
It is. Really sexist.
And
bad.
Sexy at the same time. So,
you know, yeah. Can it be both?
Yes, it can. And I'm thinking about going as it's maybe Thor, you know, because, you know, we're like, honestly, I have.
well, you have the look.
Right.
You got the look. You got the look.
I know I have the look. You know, on one hand, like Thor has shorter hair now.
All right.
And he's not a fat fuck. So, and, you know, I don't know if I would enjoy the movie as much with an eye patch on, but I am. By the time we record this next week, and hopefully maybe, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably almost all sold out. No, which is why I didn't ask, because I got a text message alert from a friend of mine who works for Atom Tickets, and he's like, just a reminder, tickets go on sale like 8:05 tomorrow morning. And so honestly, at 8:05, I was on the app and I wasn't fucking around and asking, do you want to go? Do you want to go?
Right.
So it's like, you know, obvious. I bought 6 tickets thinking you, the wife, hopefully Sully, you know, and Brandy and stuff like that, her and the other person that she wanted to get a ticket for.
Okay.
And then, you know, extended the invitation to that other person's sibling, Sam and Nathaniel. And when she said, oh, Sam and Nathaniel are going, it's like, how's Nathaniel going? Because
right
now she's the Asian, but I'm the one better with the math skills. And then it was like, and
I get it.
You know, and when Mike's like, oh, my wife's, you know, Brandy's parents are coming in from out of town. I'm like, dude, just, you know, let me know. I'll give you till like tomorrow. Let me know. Don't worry. I'm going to eat these tickets, you know, but I hope you see it because I think we're going to do a Endgame sideshow next week. I wonder if I go to my nephew's house, get back the Infinity comics and have you read them. I mean,
I will not read them.
I will come over and read them to you.
Is there an audio? Wait, is there a movie version?
Yes, and it's 3.5 hours for the second part. So part 1 was almost 3 hours. So these 2 movies, you know, 6.5 hours of magic, you know. Thoughts on an intermission? Is there an intermission? I know some people. No, there isn't. Okay, because some people were saying
an intermission.
You didn't like no, but some people were saying that there was an intermission, and I'm like,
yeah, it's been 2.5 years or whatever, or since the last.
Right.
Yeah, that's the intermission.
Suck it up.
Yeah, intermission.
You know? So yeah. So but hopefully I will also see Shazam this weekend. I was gonna ask you. I asked you if you wanted to go today, but then the math didn't work out. I'm like, maybe we could go at 4 before then. But I kept thinking, because I was in the hospital for 7 days, I kept thinking all day that today is Saturday. And then I'm like, oh, one of us is a grown-up who has a job. One of us can go to movies in the middle of the week like it is the weekend. And then I'm like, oh, well. So.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but that's all right. I mean, it'll be on video, next week?
I really, I like I love the actor who does it, so I definitely want to see. Yeah, he's. I think we talked about this. Like the wife and I figured out like last week that he's our favorite actor.
Wow.
Well, we loved the TV show Chuck. We never watched the last 4 episodes of Chuck.
You didn't want it to end.
Can't. Like to this day, we haven't seen the last 4 episodes.
Yeah,
because that.
I mean, thank God there's a Toy Story 4 for that same reason. I just don't want it to end.
I don't want it.
I might not see a Toy Story 4.
They also have he was one of the Warriors 3, one of the D'Artagnan looking guys, like Thor's friend. So he's been in a half a dozen of Avengers / Thor movies. He was in Ragnarok, I think 3-4 seconds.
Yeah, like was he like one of those prisoners or a thug or something like that?
No, he was Thor's 3 best friends, the Warriors 3 and the Lady Sif.
Okay.
Like the heavy set guy who has like the battle axe.
Yes.
The Asian guy who has like the mace. Is that with like the stick with the ball on it? That's a mace. And then the D'Artagnan looking, one, and that's him. That's Zachary Levi. And Ragnarok. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, too fucking bad. When his sister comes through and lands, comes through the Bifrost and kills everybody in the room instantly. He's one of the people there that he's on screen. I don't think he has a line in Ragnarok, but he was in the other 2 Thor movies. He was in Infinity War. Anyways.
Yeah.
So he was in that. Tangled, one of our favorite movies. We had a third son. Flynn Rider, his character from that would have been the name. Not Flynn
Rider.
Or Rider.
Right.
Flynn Rider would have been, the little dude's name.
Dodged a bullet there.
Oh, come on. That would a kick-ass name. He's such a great character.
Sure.
And now
for a movie.
And you're up to speed on Miss Maisel season 2?
Nope.
Oh.
No, haven't watched Miss Maisel. Gave up on Cheers. Oh, God.
You gave up on Cheers?
By giving up, it's like, I mean, I've watched 6 whole seasons. I'm on the beginning of season 7. Okay. I have 5 more to go. So, maybe I'm taking a sabbatical, a little break.
Well, when you get back on the Miss Maisel bandwagon, which you will,
yeah.
He's a big character in season 2.
Okay.
And his character in that, we absolutely love him. Like absolutely love him. It's somehow it made us love Maisel even more.
Great.
And now Shazam. So I'm trying to think of an actor who's been in more different roles. Like I love Chris Hemsworth. I love like the Thor character.
Right.
He was good in Ghostbusters.
You want to how about Chris Pine?
Chris Pine is great. Chris Pine is great. I mean, I like him a lot, I
mean, he was in Wonder Woman and Star Trek.
Right.
And others.
And so yeah, a lot of people like that I like a lot, but yeah, I think it's Zachary Levi. So I know everybody was hanging on the edge of their seat.
Gee, sorry, but this became the Zachary Levi podcast.
Are you sorry?
Next up, the size of his penis.
So, the Notre Dame burned. And do you know that the white smoke from Notre Dame means that they chose a new hunchback? They chose a new hunchback. See, like with the Pope and the Vatican, and when they have the white smoke, I'll show myself out. I'll just. Sorry.
That's not funny.
You want to hear a joke? But, yeah, thoughts?
It's awful. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been following up on the latest as far as the investigation goes. I'm pretty sure that all signs are pointing to, somebody on the crew accidentally taking a cigarette break without a fire extinguisher nearby.
French people don't smoke. There's one thing I know about the French.
But it's a tragedy. It's also garnered a lot of attention for local churches in the United States because the White House announced that they were going to be helping aid France in the restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral. And, everybody else on Twitter is like, Flint, Michigan here, Puerto Rico here, 3 Louisiana churches that were burned by arsonists here.
Before you say anything else, black, brown.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, when Donald Trump pledges to give money to a charity organization, we know
it has the word Trump in it.
Yeah. No, it isn't, because I saw that, on a lot of people, had tweeted out, and other people I talked about. It's like, hey, this is sad. I mean, this church that has stood the test of time, and it's going to cost a lot of money to restore it. However,
guess which organization that's connected to the Notre Dame Cathedral has a lot of money.
But yet, if you want to help rebuild the church, here's the GoFundMe for these 3, Baptist churches and, poor black communities that were the victim of arson. So why don't you...
And they've raised like $18 million or something, maybe $1.8 million or something like that.
So one fun fact, that kind of bleeds into our world, did you read about the game Assassin's Creed and how that might be a factor?
Yeah, I did read that. There's a couple of things there. So there's a woman who worked on Assassin's Creed who spent 2 years meticulously recreating Notre Dame for Assassin's Creed Unity, which is a PlayStation 4, Xbox current generation game in which you travel back to, I guess, medieval... Or no, not medieval, but like 15th century, 15th century France, and the entirety of Notre Dame as it was back then is explorable, and you can actually go play the game and just check out Notre Dame. And I think they were saying that they could use the specifications based on her research and her designs to help recreate what was lost. And there's also another, I guess, a late architect or something had used like laser technology, lasers to scan Notre Dame. And so they have like there's another organization that has like a real like 3D model of every nook and cranny of Notre Dame that they could use as a good resource. So yeah, but it was cool to hear like, oh, video games can help.
No, it is management had told me that, and then she forwarded me the article. The other articles that she sent me, like, I do not know the architectural term, but there's some kind of steeple or some kind of...
Well, I know that here's the church and here's the steeple. Open the doors and here are the people.
No, it is here's the church, here's the steeple. Open up the doors and here are the sheeple. Sheeple, Joe. Sheeple.
That's right.
No, but there's like a tower or like a balcony that Walt
Flying
Disney
buttresses or something. No.
That Walt Disney was so enamored for. He added it into the architecture of the Princess Castle at Disneyland,
the Magic Kingdom.
Right, and so they have all the specs and stuff because he was a perfectionist who wanted the same architectural scale to model and stuff like that.
Oh, great!
So luckily.
I mean, there's no dearth of information regarding the architectural makeup of Notre Dame.
And what is amazing is how undamaged it was, and what didn't. I'm not a big stained glass window aficionado, but that stained glass window that they have that was made in the 12th century.
Fuck yeah!
Management was all. When I saw that, it was, when the little guy and I were in the hospital, came on the news, I told him, I said, I guarantee you your mother is crying right now. And she was, just distraught. I mean, she had been there a number of times. If you go and Google that window, like close up of it, holy fuck. Like the absolute detail, intricacies, and how it looks like just a design from far away, but up close, it's all different people and stories. But the way, I mean, I could go on forever. I'm not articulate enough to do it any kind of justice. But she was most worried about that being lost, and it's still there. Like most of the structure is intact. I mean, damn, did they build a pretty steady
Yeah, they do. They don't make them like they used to, but there's also something to be said about how the firefighters took great care not to just like go gangbusters on this and to put the fire out. They had to basically pick and choose delicately where they were going to put the fire out so that they didn't cause further damage. They didn't, have flying water tankers as the president of the United States suggested. Like those wildfires, you just put them out with the flying water tankers.
They're part of Space Force. And my question is, did the French fucking rake the leaves around Notre Dame? But yeah, another interesting, story that has come from this is, the Catholic Church has all the money in the world. They literally have all the money that, Oprah doesn't.
But not as much as Jeff Bezos. Oh, wait, he's divorced. Now
they do. Right. But Macron had pledged that within 5 years they're going to restore, it to its rightful glory. France, like the United States is supposed to be, is a secular nation, and people there truly are, have always taken the separation of church and state very, very seriously. And people are very upset that he has pledged that the French will actually spend government money on this. What a lot of people don't know, which I didn't know, the French government owns Notre Dame and rented out. It's rented to the Catholic Church.
Oh.
Still, the Catholic Church has all the fucking money in the world.
But guess who rakes in the tourism money?
So that's
France,
right? And that's what makes it kind of a tricky situation. It's like, yeah,
it's probably why they bought it from the church, or it was given to the church. Oh, you know what I mean? Like that's probably why France has control over Notre Dame,
right? Because it is such a. Now, one thing that I think a lot of people have misunderstood is a lot of people are like, oh my God, this church is, the rise and fall of different monarchs and different political systems and different wars, and it survived the Nazis in World War II. Take a second and read a fucking book. Well, yeah, the reason it survived World War II, the reason the Vatican survived World War II, and many other prominent churches around Europe wasn't because there were no-go zones or they were off limits or like, hey, let's keep the fighting here. The Catholic Church is turning a blind eye to what was happening in Germany. It was a one hand washes the other. It was actually Hitler himself who had said, it's like, yeah, these places were off limits. You can go ahead and carpet bomb, all of England that you want, but these are the landmarks to stay away from that were, Vatican controlled.
Nobody bombs a church in my town. I just wanted to work in a paraphrase quote from Ghostbusters.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But that's, and again, we could bash the Catholic Church from here to kingdom come. Like the fact that last week the former Pope Benedict had come out and said the reason Catholic priests are fucking the small boys is because of the sexual revolution in the 60s, which doesn't explain why they were fucking small boys the last, 2 centuries?
Something like that.
2 millennia?
Well, was it the 1960s?
The 1960s sexual revolution is the reason that, nuns and small boys are being raped by the Catholic priest today is what is.
Well, that could be true, but then there was probably another reason why they were raping them in the other.
Yeah. I'm guessing because pedophilies could hide in plain sight, and that's another story. But getting back to this, yeah, it's really interesting that France is divided. Like people are like, why are we spending government money on it? Well, we own it, and it's a tourism thing. Yeah, but couldn't the Pope sell a ruby off his stupid hat and pay for 2 Notre Dames, and at the same time don't think it was a divine intervention that it survived World War II and the Nazis? It's because the Catholic Church was not only complacent, which was going on inside Nazi Germany, they also reaped the benefits. They also, just in the past decade or so, some of the artwork that the Catholic Church kind of became in possession with, which were owned by, people not around anymore, that found its way into the Vatican and has started to be returned. But yeah, they're pieces of shit, and they should rebuild Notre Dame themselves. I don't know. But I will stand by the fact that the white smoke indicated that they had elected a new hunchback. A new hunchback. I think Joe's been threatening to quit the podcast, and I think so. Here's Joe, here's the cliff, and here's my two hands pushing him.
I'm like the cliffhanger yodeling guy on Price is Right. I'm at the very top.
Oh, that's a pack of gum? Well, that's Trident.
$40. It's got to be.
Before we get into the big story of the week, she has been labeled Taco Tammy. Have you heard the latest? Middle-aged white woman upset with people living their lives.
No, and I'm sure they probably look just like her.
No. Fun fact: a little more.
There's more diversity in that field. Okay.
So there was a taco truck on her street, which she took great offense to. A taco truck selling tacos on the street that she lived. So she came out, filmed it.
Was it not Taco Tuesday?
It was not. We're having Taco Tuesday even on a Friday. And I saw so many people tweet this out, and it's like, this is the best answer to ignorance and hate ever. Like the following Sunday, full-on mariachi parade, and that taco truck came back with an army of people to serve tacos to the entire neighborhood. And it was like, dude, don't hate a people, until you've had one of these really good tacos. Like, they had some people make speeches and stuff like that. And it's like, look, get to know us and then hate us. But try to hate us after you have one of these delicious tacos. But they did. They fed the whole neighborhood. They had a huge parade, a huge mariachi band. They, made a whole fiesta of it. So
maybe she worked for Taco Bell and she didn't want these guys horning in on her business.
What does Taco Bell have to do with Mexican food?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Diarrhea.
Well, plenty.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But okay. Now that we've had enough happy news, the church burning.
Yeah, that was so hysterical.
Yes. So I lost the money, but look at the bright side.
What?
How much money am I out? And the jerk, he's like, but look at the bright side. Do your Jackie Mason.
I again checked out, dude.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
When Steve Martin gets robbed at the gas station and Jackie Mason is telling him, I lost a few bucks, but look at the bright side. We also lost a church.
All right. There we go. Hey-o. Thank you.
To quote the guy who resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, what little came out of the Mueller report is, upon hearing initially there was going to be a special prosecutor. Am I reading this quote correctly? I'm fucked.
That was part of his quote. Yes. He said, oh my God, oh no, or oh my God, or something to that nature. This is the end of my presidency, or this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to me. And then, I'm fucked. Mm-hmm. And breaking news, this just in, he's not fucked. He's just fine. And he'll probably use this to rally his troops and supporters to win re-election, because we live in fucking backwards land.
And the fact that, on one hand, I do not even want to talk about it or think about it. On the other hand, that's exactly what they need. They need fatigue. They need us to be wear down. They need us to be complacent. They need us to say, there's nothing we can do. This is unfair. It's fucking awful. But what can we do? And that is 100% the game plan. That is 100%. So, no, there's nothing we can do right now. But honestly, it strengthened my resolve to be even more proactive.
I'm going to be more voting.
No.
What?
Yes, you can. I mean, honestly, I've already looked into like hosting different, you can host different get-togethers. You can, and there's no reason to door knock here, and to really campaign. I mean, whoever is on the ticket here is going to, whether it's,
that's the complacency we're looking for.
But whether it's Mayor Pete, Sanders, Warren, you go down the list. If it's any of those people, they're going to win here by landslide. It's how, can you get involved in places?
You're going to drive to Alabama? And
maybe.
Go ahead.
Volunteer to drive people to the polls or something like that. I don't know because, I could vote early here, but yeah, dude, it's been a brutal week.
It has been
an absolute brutal week.
Right. And
For them to get away with it and so blatantly to have Barr do the shit that he's obstructing in plain sight.
Yeah, so we have an attorney general who's a shill for the president. We have a president who basically obstructed justice, and there's no proof that... Here's the thing. I guess Mueller couldn't find proof that he colluded. There's no proof that He didn't look... He was not really looking for the collusion thing. Mm-hmm. And everybody who's gone over what the document they can... Wait, he was not looking for the collusion?
No, he was basically looking to put all the facts together and say, Congress, do your job. You make what you want from these findings. Yeah. And that was the whole intent.
Now, did I read, according to the redacted version of the Mueller report, that the Mueller investigation... Redacted! The redacted version of the Mueller report said that the Mueller investigation couldn't find any evidence of Russian meddling in the U.S. elections. Is that correct?
Not even a little.
Okay.
I mean, it clearly says that they did.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing is like how much to the top did it go, and it's all right there. I mean, there's no.
And then there's also right now there's this sort of internal battle with the Democrats. Do we do full court press and try to get, quote unquote, get the president impeached on obstruction of justice charges? Because attempting to obstruct justice is just as bad as obstructing justice. You're basically making they're both crimes. Now, politically, I guess it would be sort of like a nail in the coffin for the Democrats because they would think, okay, if they push back and really try to get the president charged with criminal activity, and they don't have a strong enough case to actually do it, they're not going to be able to, numbers wise, impeach the president of the United States. Just unfortunately, like the figures don't lie. There's not enough votes in Congress to.
Congress, yes.
I mean,
but the Senate, no.
No, see, Congress is both the House and the Senate. So the House has more. The House has the Democratic majority. Senate, no, not so much. So numbers-wise, they know they're not going to be able to impeach the president. There's not a compelling enough of there's not insurmountable, irrefutable evidence against the president. There is shadows of doubt. So there's not a strong enough case to bring forth to even like the most hardline Republicans and say, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Here.
Well, no, that's hopefully what the next step is. It's like, here's the Mueller report. And again, when Ken Starr dropped off his Whitewater report, trucks, absolute, bread trucks showed up, with here's the report and here's all the supporting evidence. Here's everything we found. What did our Congress get? Here's a 4-page summary by basically a defense lawyer for the president acting as attorney general saying, here's what we found, even with the redacted. And now that's the push. The Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's are like, great. Here's what we're reading. We need to see the evidence. Show us the evidence. Stop hiding things because they think the evidence is there. And yes, a couple things that have to happen. You do not let this go. You do not say, okay, well, he's obstructing. Their job is to
push back,
to investigate, bring Mueller in. Question Mueller. There's no reason not to, question Mueller. There's no reason not to question Mueller. It's like, why didn't you investigate? Why didn't you question Donald Jr.? Why didn't you question Ivanka? Why didn't you question the people who were in the room at that Russian hearing? It is a crime to try to yes, once I did buy speakers from somebody in a van at a DeMuller's parking lot, which I know fell off another truck. That is illegal, even if I tried to buy them and did it. Like the fact that they were trying to get what they knew were the stolen emails from the Democrats. They took a meeting trying to acquire what they knew was stolen property.
Mm-hmm.
Why weren't they questioned? I would love Mueller to come in and say, this is why I didn't think we had to. The Congress has every right to go ahead and subpoena them and question them. At the same time, our biggest hope, my biggest hope, is the different attorney generals of like the different districts, like the Southern District of New York. Some of these crimes don't have a statute of limitations. Some of these crimes they can investigate right now. Some of these crimes they can, no, they can't arrest Blotus until hopefully after the next election or, God forbid, the one after. They can start doing all that stuff just because, and that's the thing, as hard it is for me and, other people not to get burnt out and fatigued and frustrated and throw your hands up. The Pelosi's and the Schumers of the world have to double down and go harder because the evidence is in those things,
I'm just wondering who the Democrats who are against pushing forward with a criminal investigation, who are they worried about alienating? Because you're only, I think, alienating Democrats who are already on your side. You're going to be basically saying, like, I can't believe these guys are so fucking wimpy.
They're not swing districts, the ones where in the purple areas where, you're going to, turn people, because there are. I mean, I'm turned off by it, you know what I mean? But at the other hand, it's like, you can't. You have to have a fucking spine. You have to,
Oh, hopefully, right. I know. And I think the wish is that it would turn up actual tangible results, which it may, but it takes a long time. And it takes a lot of cooperation and less obstruction from a certain house that's white.
Now, you have to understand, Joe, this is
I don't have to stand nothing.
This is a troubling time for me. And because it is all about me. And getting through this isn't easy. But the one thing that eases my pain is a little self-indulgent theater.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even read it. I'm not even going to read it. I haven't read the rundown that thoroughly, so I have no idea what Jacques is about to say.
And after last week's Senator Bernie Sanders doing Fight for Your Right to Party and affordable health care, which, I mean, I'm listening back at the house, and I'm laughing over my laughing last week. So this week, I would love to hear Super Dave Osborne either do the theme for the Golden Girls or Facts of Life, kind of a dealer's choice.
We did the Facts of Life with Paul Lynde. So
we did. Okay, right. Okay, so Golden Girls it is.
Okay.
And I'm just going to sit back.
All right. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be for me, and the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend." You want to hear a joke?
I think that's my favorite line he's ever said.
It's the only line I can remember him saying.
Well, it's that line and the absolute contemptuous stare that he would give Letterman each and every single time. That was it. Okay. I can only take so much magic.
It's time for a defunct sponsor of the week.
On the next Golden Girls, Blanche bridges the generation gap
Dirk's nearly 5 years younger than I am.
Then what, Blanche? Dog years?
and searches for the fountain of youth.
A man his age is used to a trim body with good tone.
Then buy him a princess phone.
Hi, Blanche, you look terrific. Thanks. Blanche looks terrible. Gravity always takes its toll. Look at me. I used to be a tall, voluptuous blonde with a butt like granite.
They're robbing the cradle on the Golden Girls.
Okay. So, the Kraft saga, it keeps dragging on. And so this week...
keeps dragging on. Oh, wait, that's... I'm mixing up... Gosh, shut up, Joe. Shut up.
There we go. It was one of those things that I don't know. It's like, I get fighting it. He doesn't want the tape to be a staple on YouPorn for the next, 20 years of his existence. on the other hand, it's just the more it's fought, it's staying in the public eye. I get that side too. But this past week, a judge said, no, whether it was obtained legally is the big question now. And if it was obtained illegally, the police have no right to here's our tainted evidence that we have, illegally obtained. Now we're going to smear, this man even more by releasing it. And it's still in the courts whether or not it was obtained legally. And it does not look, like it was. I mean, like we talked about last week, I'm tired of talking about this. Worse than the Mueller report that, nothing's worse than the Mueller report. Talking about the fact that, the police have come out and said, yes, there's absolutely no link, no tie, no evidence that this has anything to do with sex trafficking, human trafficking. This is a fucking misdemeanor. This is an unpaid parking ticket. This is rolling through a yield sign without properly.
He should get a slap on the dick.
Say it again.
He should get a slap on the dick.
But anyways, I don't know. But it's lingering on, and it's becoming I almost said a bigger thing. But the fact that seriously, it's getting to Deflategate, level of scrutiny, and again, it's a misdemeanor.
I think this just proves that the judge is also human. Does not want to see this video as much as the rest of the public does.
No, people do. Who want? And like I said, the guy's pushing 80 and winning twice in 24 hours. Good for fucking you.
I mean, he's pushing 80 and she was pulling it.
Oh, this is why you are not ever allowed to stop doing a podcast.
Damn it.
You signed another year. Talking about hockey, last few weeks, last couple months, we've been talking about this epic run the Bruins have gone on the second half of the season. At one point they had a 19-game streak without a regulation loss. Points in 19 straight games. Unimaginably great. However, Tampa Bay has been so great the entire year. Even with those great runs and the Bruins locking in second place, Tampa was a lifetime ahead of them. And shockingly, and I don't know the last time in sports, the couple Super Bowls that the Patriots, didn't win, huge shock and an upset. And there's been other upsets in sports, but in a 7-game series, so if the Patriots played the Giants 7 times, they probably would have won 6 or 5 of those games. But the Columbus Blue Jackets, a true 8th place seed, sweeps. And it wasn't overtime games. It wasn't Tampa Bay hit the post with seconds left and it bounced the other way and Blue Jackets went on a breakaway and scored a goal. It wasn't bad reffing. They kicked their ass in 4 games. And I don't know the last time an 8th place seed swept a first place seed, especially a team. The Lightning tied the record for most points in a regular season, tied the record for most goals in a regular season, had the most, goals scored to goals, allowed, discrepancy in 25 years in hockey. Everything screamed that this team was walking to Lord Stanley Cup's, final and should have won. And
again, we're stuck with, I honestly have no end for that sentence. I started talking. I'm not kidding. I've so checked out. I can't even speak any. I'm speaking even more befuddled now than I have the entire 2-year run of this dumb podcast. I can't even muster an opinion on this. I get it. It's crazy. This just means that the Blue Jackets, is that what they're called?
Blue Jackets.
That who will be facing them? Is that the Bruins might face them?
Well, that's the thing. As great as the Bruins were or are, had they, well, we don't know. As a recording as this, they're tied 2-2 with the Leafs.
No.
And we should beat the Leafs.
Oh, did they? Okay.
We should beat the Leafs. I mean, it's a best of 3 game series now with 2 games at the Garden. Mm-hmm. Actually, all 3 games are at the Garden. The Maple Leafs also play in a building called the Garden. So anyway, shut up, Jacques. Shut up.
No, but you said the Garden.
The Garden. I did. Thank you for the correction, Joseph. But we should beat the Lightning. The Bruins are a better team. I'm sorry. The Leafs are a great team. They're young. They're fast. They have some great goal scorers, but their defense isn't great. And we have the best line in hockey. And so hopefully, but the whole talk the last couple months is, the Bruins are playing amazing, but they have to play the Lightning in the second round and you can't get past it. So they're kind of squandering a gift by not dispensing with the Leafs sooner. And by the time this records, we will be getting ready for game 6 one way or another, and hopefully they do. Yeah, but the scary thing is I don't remember the last time in sports I've seen something like this. Now, the Kings, when they won their first cup, were technically an 8th seed, but on the last 2 games of the season, they played the San Jose Sharks in home-to-home series. I'm just talking to John and Biff at this point, and I'll start Tommy. But had the Kings won one of those 2 games, they would have finished in 3rd place. I mean, they were 1 point, and just the way the setup goes, they went, the 1 point meant they went from 3rd place to 8th place. So technically they were an 8th place team, but really, they were a great team. Well, obviously they won 2 cups in 3 years. But the Blue Jackets just talk about punching up, it's so anyway, so the Bruins.
It's a real David versus Goliath, is it not?
It is indeed, my friend. It is indeed. Now, you wanted to talk at great lengths about your beloved Rob Gronkowski's week.
I think it's our beloved Rob Gronkowski. So they went to, opening day at Fenway?
Yep.
Had some hijinks prior to their, opening day ceremony, showing off the freshly minted 6th Lombardi trophy for the New England Patriots. And they had some sort of impromptu batting cage session that incorporated, for some reason, the actual Vince Lombardi trophy as a bat being wielded by said Rob Gronkowski. Now, who is he hitting against?
The great Julian Edelman.
One Julian Edelman, yes. And we all know that he is an astounding, not only a football player, but a decent pitcher.
Hey, he played baseball in college as well.
Yeah.
And he was a quarterback at Kent State before becoming a wide receiver.
And
a cornerback.
Look who's a fan.
And a punt returner. And kickoff coverage.
Just say I love Julian.
And pretty good looking.
Yeah. So, long story short, too late. Rob Gronkowski decides to actually follow through with his pretend batting cage thing with Julian Edelman. And when a pitch is thrown by Edelman to Gronkowski, he, at the last second, Gronkowski takes the Lombardi trophy, and instead of pretending to swing and miss, he actually lines up a bunt and fucking nails it right on the football part of the Lombardi trophy. So now there is a permanent dent in what was once a pristine 6th Lombardi trophy for the New England Patriots.
And the Patriots put out a really great whole docudrama, talking heads, epic music.
Yeah, like it had the testimonials from Devin McCourty.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Whew, I got out of that one.
Matthew Slater.
Right. And they were just all giving their eyewitness accounts of how things transpired. And, that's just, at the end of the day, it's just Gronk being Gronk.
And like I said, I mean, had Jules really come with the heat and blown it by him, wouldn't it happen? So really, who's the bad guy here? And what the Patriots players had all pointed out and the media pointed out, anybody else but Gronk, it might have been,
a fireable offense of some sort, or a finable offense, or at least a public hazing.
Right. But Gronk, it's yeah, of course Gronk, of course he did that.
And then the next day after the New England Patriots put out that video recapping his dinging the Lombardi trophy, Gronkowski quotes it in his own tweet with the word oopsie. And he spelled it right, so good for him.
There you go. His editor must have been on the game that day. The only other sports thing is I started seeing a bunch of things on Twitter and text the other day. Here in Massachusetts, probably the second biggest grocery chain is a chain of stores called Stop and Shop that is on strike. And one Hall of Fame legendary retired number, Ray Bork, quote unquote, accidentally crossed the picket line to go inside. And I guess there's a pharmacy inside. And as he released in a statement, He wasn't really aware of what was going on. He had a medical condition. He was just picking up his medicine. He feels awful about crossing a picket line as a union hockey player who enjoys the benefits of being in a strong union. He understands that as soon as his medical issues subside, he's going to be out there on the front lines holding a sign with them.
Good for him.
Well, I know it's just like, was that the only pharmacy in town? The one inside, you know,
the closest one.
Did you not have like, you know, a loved one who could maybe drive to the further pharmacy? Were you on fire? And at that moment, the only extinguisher was inside that 7-Eleven or I'm sorry, that Stop and Shop. So
ironically, it was eye medication because he couldn't see so good.
Is that a picket line over there?
That's just a bunch of lost bag boys. One thing I did want to bring up in sports. So teams across the NFL have announced their schedules this week.
Indeed.
One team did it in a very entertaining fashion that kind of ties into our next segment. The Carolina Panthers.
Who, as we've talked about before, remember, they were the team that over the course of like the week.
No, it was like, right. It was like months or something like that.
Leading
or a month.
up to the season, like the first word in every tweet was the lyrics to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. And that was, great game. Like that is Michelin rated tweeting right there. This time, the Carolina Panthers put out a video announcing their schedule for the 2019 season. And it's 1 minute and 42 seconds. And every single segment, or every single week, is represented by a different old school video game. Every single one. So have you seen the video?
I have not.
Oh, God. I guess maybe I can play it for you. I don't know. Hey, you want to?
I wouldn't enjoy that.
All right. How do I make this work? You're going to have to put it up to the mic. So just hit the play button on that tweet right there. Oh, maybe. Oh, I got it switched off. Let me see too. Okay, yeah, so that's Pitfall.
That's so great. Wow.
I mean, some of these games I don't know what they are.
Dance Revolution, Madden.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's like some other game. I'm not sure what that game is. Astoundingly,
Porthole, I think.
Oregon Trail,
That is so good.
NBA Jam.
I'm really waiting to see Bus Simulator. If they use Bus Simulator.
It's Pokemon Go, the new mobile phone app, or it came out a couple of years ago. GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64. And Mario Kart for the Super Mario Kart. Need I say more? Sonic.
Who makes Sonic?
Sega. Words with Friends. Mortal Kombat, where you have to choose your player. And, of course, Tecmo Super Bowl.
That is really great. Good
Yeah.
for them. They're going to win 6 games.
And entertaining for this podcast audience as well.
I will not get into it. The Patriots schedule came out 14-2. A loss to Miami. Miami will win 3 games this year. One of them will be against the Patriots.
Always happens every year, like clockwork.
No matter how bad they are. So we will not get into that. You're welcome, Biv. We are getting into video games. Other than that, mashup between video games and the Carolina Panthers. Are you playing anything this week?
I think we are playing something new this week. You and I.
Are we?
You and I. Cuphead.
Okay. We'll get right into Cuphead.
Yeah. I just downloaded it yesterday. It's fun. I've seen gameplay footage of it from the Xbox, like last year, and I was excited to get it when I learned it was coming out on the Switch because I don't have an Xbox, nor do I have a PC powerful enough to run it.
Right. It's been a PC, Xbox game forever. My little guys have been, for 2-3 years asking for this game, and I remember at Christmas trying to get them Cuphead plushes and stuff like that. They wanted the Cuphead plushes and paraphernalia before they could even get the game, months before. And it came out this week, and the little guy was counting down. It comes out on the 18th, and we're at the hospital, and he's up at midnight on the 18th, like waiting for the clock to strike midnight. And at midnight, you could pre-order it and play it at noon the next day. I have no desire to play it.
Oh.
However, I have every desire to watch it being. I don't know the last time I've ever been like, hey, Joe, let me watch you play this game for the next 4 hours and not touch a controller.
It's beautiful.
It really is. It's beyond stunning. Even the wife looked up today and she's like, oh my God, this is awesome to watch.
So to describe Cuphead to the uninitiated, it's an homage to classic 1930s kind of Max Fleischer,
almost like Steamboat Willie, Disney-ish.
Yeah, the old 30s cartoons. And you play as Cuphead or Mughead or Mugman. I forget. I think it's Mugman. And the plot is that these two they're kind of like these hokey looking happy characters. They're literally like mugs with eyeballs, and they're attached to the Mickey Mouse kind of bodies, and they get into the deal with I think they lose a craps game to the devil, and then they can't pay off their gambling debt, but in order to do so, they make a deal with the devil to go out and collect souls and bring them back to the devil. So that's your mission, is you have to go out and collect souls from these different weird ass bosses. The game's mainly boss fights. The other mechanics of the game is it's essentially a run and gun, which is like Contra. You would run and just keep going to the right, keep the finger on the button and keep firing at everything that moves and just try to get through the level. Jumping and dashing and whatever, avoiding enemies. And collecting coins along the way as well, so that you could buy more power-ups to your weaponry. And but the game is unforgivably hard. You have to just get good. There's not a lot of easy mode in this game, but it's so gorgeous to look at because it's not like a shitty kind of wimpy take on. Oh, remember what the 30s cartoons look like? We're kind of going that. No, it looks like it's from the 30s, complete with the hair artifacts on the film.
Right. The dropout, the graininess in the background.
The music is all original, but it
looks great.
Yeah.
But they have the grain and the dropout, and
and right. So it just adds to the texture. It's got just original music of the 30s style. That has announcements and a nice 1930s announcements this is going to be another walloping.
Right. They use those colloquialisms. Thank you.
Yeah. Right, but it's
ready for a whooping.
Yeah, right. It's a fun game, and I just started playing it last night, so I look forward to swearing at my screen yet again.
Yeah, so the little guys have been swearing at the screen. It's fun that they can play together. I think it's cross-platform now. Can you get it on? No, it's just the Switch. It's just the Switch.
Right, it just came out on the Switch. It has been an Xbox PC exclusive.
But the two, they can play together, which is fun. At the same time, they scream at each other,
right,
using obscenities if one of them gets the other one killed, and they don't work well in tandem. Fun fact, most young brothers, and brothers in general, except for the Sutter brothers, don't work very well together. So, it's one of those things. It's like they're fighting. I'm like, okay, fine, just one play at a time. No, we want to play together. It's like, you're yelling.
It gives them an excuse to yell at each other.
So that's and the big thing that we want to talk about, other than Cuphead,
yes,
there's this game called Resident Evil 2. The update on that. First of all, there's no updates, But I didn't realize the other day until we were in the hospital. Sidebar: we're in the hospital for a week. They have these nice people. they like, oh, you can't leave the room because the first 3 days he was on like quarantine, and they wheeled in like, one of the junior high AV carts, a TV with an Xbox and stuff. And there was a couple of Xbox games, but he's like, can I keep this in the room? Like, you can keep it in the room the whole time you're here. Papa, can we bring my PS4? And it's like, yes, buddy. And so, we're playing, he's playing a couple of games. He falls asleep. I'm wide awake. Start playing Resident Evil. Like, never stop. And then I realized, oh, shit. I'm close to 100%ing this game, which I didn't think was possible. And now I thought I 100% in it, and I realized, oh, it's stuck at 98, and I can't figure out the one last goddamn trophy. There's one, and I don't want to look it up. I don't want to look, and I think
it's stopped playing Resident Evil 2 for a day.
Is that what it is?
I think it's like you stop for one day and you get the fucking trophy. Yes.
Dude, I am 12 hours away from my one-day chip in anger management. This is not the time to push me.
Don't push you because you're close to the edge.
I'm going to lose my edge. I'm
trying not to lose my edge.
Wow,
it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
Look at you go.
That's all. It's all the black I know.
Oh,
I'm not a good person.
Hey, who played the Black Panther while we're talking?
Chadwick Boseman.
There you go. How about Killmonger?
Who?
Oh,
I didn't. Oh, the bad guy in.
Yeah,
I fell asleep.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, of course, yeah. Duh.
Or
he played Creed,
or as some people would call him,
Michael
Hottie McHotterson.
Yeah.
So I with that, any more video game, or you want me to grab a little? Oh, which by the way, Joe always talks about, like, when people come down and say how great the basement is. It's like, dude, look at all this stuff. I'm a loser. Everybody comes down here and says it's great. Management posted a picture of
The Boys.
Was it it was The Boys.
It was a video of The Boys doing Us.
And like one of her best friends, was like, where is this? Can I go there? And she's like, can you make a comment about how cute The Boys are in the podcast and stop reminiscing about a place you've never been to? Like, honestly, it's everything she could do not to give out the address. So.
Good, thank you for that.
So yes. With that said, I'm going to go get a disc.
Right, a cartridge, anything you want, anything. It's all yours for the taking. Everything the light touches is yours. So Jacques hobbling over to grab an NES game off my shelf, and it can see that it's not Section Z, and it's not. Oh God, it's before Section Z. I think that says Section Z. Yeah, what is it? Cycross? SCI? No, it's not Cycross. The shooting? No, I don't know what the fuck it is. God, I'm gonna.
It's an R.
It's an R game. Yeah. Oh, Rygar? No, I give up. There we go. Russian Attack. Yeah, I think
that's Rush.
N
Attack.
Rush apostrophe N Attack. This was a port from an arcade game from the 80s. It's made by Konami, which also made great games like Castlevania, Contra, you name it, you played it. This is, I think, another kind of like platforming, like run and gun kind of game. You're, I think, what is it? You're on a Russian military base, or the Russians are coming and attacking the U.S. base, and you have to defend it. I don't know. It's one of those, army games where you have to shoot the enemy and collect weapons and then shoot more enemies, and then at the end of the stage defeat a boss and then go on to the next stage. Yeah, rinse, lather, repeat, or lather, rinse, repeat. Checked out. Told you. Done. Checked out, baby. I'm checking out.
All right. If you didn't own it, what would you pay for it?
$40.
No, it's not a stick of gum
on cliffhanger.
On cliffhangers.
I'm gonna be generous and say 6.
Bam, right on it.
Oh, baby! Right. Actually, I lose. It was $5.99, so I would have gone over.
So that would have been
and
$1.
lost both showcases. All right. So now, what am I going to read from this book? The tome. It's called Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library, 1985 to 1995, by Pat Contry. Pick it up at your local internet. Fun fact: he's working on a Super Nintendo book of the same ilk. Oh. And anyways, Russian Attack, 3.5 stars. It's as a Special Forces soldier, players must fight through 6 levels of side-scrolling action in order to stop a nuclear warhead from being launched. Armed with a knife, players must fend off enemy soldiers who will march toward the player, as well as jump-kicking soldiers and soldiers who will fire a pistol. So, but it's, fun game, 1 to 2 players simultaneous. That's always fun. But it's an earlier release from 87, height of the Cold War. I'm sure it had like another name in Japan, but in America it's Russian Attack. Fun for the whole family of Trump supporters. Anyways,
I will say, moving on to what we're watching. What are you watching on TV, Joe? It's not Cheers. We're taking a break from Cheers.
Right, we're taking a break.
Not on season 2 of Miss Maisel.
No, not on Mrs. Maisel. You know what? Actually, I want to talk about this one episode of The Orville, starring a certain Scott Grimes. This motherfucker made me cry. This episode made me, tear up. I was like, you motherfucker. Because the premise of the episode is that the crew is presented with a time capsule from 2015. And they discover within the time capsule an iPhone. And we were able to reverse engineer it and crack it. And it belonged to a girl, 20-something, maybe, late 20s, early 30s woman who put it in the time capsule as sort of like her contribution to the future society, saying here's what life was like. And through text messages and videos and her iPod and all playlists, Scott Grimes, saw the video of the girl because the girl put a video of herself addressing the future finders of the time capsule. So Scott's character, Gordon. Falls.
My dad's name.
Yeah, that's a coincidence there. He kind of has a instant falling in love thing with the girl. So he takes the phone and integrates it with the holodeck and asks the computer to basically try to recreate the environment of this woman based on everything on her iPhone, like her text messages and all that stuff, all that data. So through space magic, they recreate a party scene with her and her friends and everything. And he, interacts with quote unquote her and falls in love with her, has a relationship with her, actually replicates a second iPhone so that the simulation that's still running can call his cell phone while he's not in the in the holodeck. So he's having a virtual relationship with this girl from the past. And he finds out that she was a singer, and she would play open mics and stuff. But long story short, he kind of has his heart broken because there's another person in her life that was out but now came back, and it was just moving because the point of the story is that she didn't want to be forgotten, and she basically lived for 400 years past her lifespan because of somebody from the future who was able to unearth her records and basically regenerate her memories, and now she is being remembered by him. And but there was a touching little duet at the end because Scott Grimes is, as a good singer,
right? And
he chimes in. So there was a little bit of a what was the movie? A Star Is Born moment there.
Nice,
but it was very moving. But it was It was kind of like that sound on your phone that you did in silence because we were doing a podcast. No, it was. It made me think like, yeah, wow. It's nice to think that the bullshit that we put on our phones now are in effect a sort of a permanent record of our existence. It's proof that we're here. We're basically all insignificant slugs in the grand scheme of things. But it's nice to know that there is, even though in the current day we're using all of this information against us, it's being mined and warped so that it could be used to advertise to us or exploit us or whatever. But 100 years from now, 200 years from now, it's just like,
my dick pics could live forever.
Yes, somebody could replicate your penis and hold it virtually. And how wonderful is that? But I don't know. You got to see this episode of the Orville. It's one of those things where you can just sort of dive in and watch it as a one-off. It's essentially, if you haven't seen
this week's,
it was a couple of weeks ago, but it's on Hulu.
Yeah,
it's I mean, if you haven't seen the Orville, it's essentially a Next Generation clone,
but a comedy.
You know what?
It started off as a comedy, but now it's taken serious.
I think they've tried to, except McFarlane, try to crowbar in the comedy, and now they're confident enough to basically like have faith in their stories that are mostly dramatic. I mean, with some comedic elements, but it's mostly a drama. It's like an episode of Star Trek.
But I watched the pilot, and it was a straight up comedy.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was right, and it's since matured since the. It's really gotten really good. Like it surprised me how much this episode moved me. So fuck you, Scott Grimes, for making me sweat from my eyes.
I think you just titled the name of this episode. Fuck you to Scott Grimes, which I will send him.
What are you watching?
The Bruins.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, you know me. It's like Patriots playoff time, Bruins playoff time. It's like so. But I, literally being at the hospital for a week, I didn't even know what day it was. The only thing that kept me kind of on a schedule was I can know the Bruins are playing this day and this day.
I got to say, I've been watching a couple of the games.
So I'm sending out the picture. I'm not asking for permission. So I'm texting Joe during the Bruins game the other day. He's watching the Bruins game on TV A. And on TV B, playing, was it the Nintendo or the Atari?
No, I was playing the Sega Genesis NHL 94.
94. Toronto versus Boston. And nothing makes me happier.
Side note, I sent that also to our friend Jim, who the next day when the Celtics were playing, he's like, I expect to see this with double dribble. And
And you did?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I live to please my friends. But
giving the people what they want.
I do want to bring up one thing that I found, a couple of TV notes while we're on TV.
Sure.
Card Sharks has a host.
Okay.
Joel McHale.
Oh.
You'll be watching.
Love Joe McHale.
Yeah. I think Joel McHale might be like one of those actors where you kind of like love, right?
Yeah. I mean, I loved Community. Love the Soup.
The Soup. That's right. It wasn't Talk Soup.
Loved,
showing my age.
Loved.
I love the MTZ.
The National Lampoon docudrama he was in, which he played Cherry Chase.
Yep, and of course his turn in Ted. Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't.
And he's always. Oh, what else? Shut up. Spy Kids 2. I think he was the dad. Look it up. I think he was the dad.
I'll take your word for it.
Or the stepdad in Spy Kids 2.
Oh, all right. I would have thought that went to Hal Sparks, but what do I know?
No, he's too busy doing what's our friend Chris and Brian's show?
Oh, was it it's a Lab Rats?
Lab Rats. Thank you.
Thank you. But the other thing I want to mention is Norman Lear is teaming up with Jimmy Kimmel. And, Jimmy Kimmel's presenting, apparently. I don't know how they're formulating it, but it's actually produced by Will Ferrell's and Adam McKay's Sanchez Productions, which is, like, dissolving soon. Like, they're breaking up. Oh, Will Ferrell is leaving the Sanchez Productions. Well, anyway.
Too dirty for him?
Yeah, exactly. Dirty. See what you did? I saw and smelled. They're doing a reenactment of two iconic Norman Lear episodes, and they're going to air it on ABC in May, of All in the Family and the Jeffersons. Recast with.
Hold on. Do I get to guess what the episodes are?
No, I don't know what they're what the.
Oh, okay.
But do you want to guess? Just venture. Okay, I'm going to give you one clue as to whom is playing Archie Bunker.
Oh,
okay. All right. Just one clue. The Far Side.
The Far Side. Oh, I see him. Zombieland. On Cheers he had Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
Woody Harrelson. Nice.
Yeah, and by The Far Side is a quote from Cheers. Yeah.
That's great.
I don't get The Far Side.
Well, this band, I will never hear The Far Side without that exchange from Cheers 30 years ago. Okay, that's great.
And Edith.
Edith. Who would Edith be?
Another clue. Aunt May.
Oh. Marissa
Tomei.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
I thought Aunt May was
the new Aunt May.
Marissa Tomei. Okay, so for some reason I thought that was Alyssa Milano.
No.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Yeah.
And if they're doing one episode, it's got to be the Sammy Davis episode.
Right. It's got to be one of
Has to be the Sammy Davis. And the Jeffersons episode, if they would redo...
But who plays Sammy Davis Jr.? Was it Billy Crystal? Does he break it out?
No. Wow.
Well, I think the whole purpose is that they want to debunk the myth or the idea that these episodes and these shows couldn't be done today.
Right. Wow, that's fantastic. Good for them.
So I'm actually going to look up and see if I can
and then
find
so going back in the Jeffersons, I'm trying to think of the crucial turning point in the Jeffersons. Again, it's got to be a big race thing if it's Norman Lear. It's got to be the episode where George Jefferson saves a racist Klanman's life.
Yes, it has to be.
The only other one that I don't know if he won an Emmy for, but it was a great episode. It's probably Sherman Hemsley's and I know Hemsley saying a lot, stretching. There was an episode where he had to go under hypnosis to remember where his father's grave was, because they couldn't afford to put names on the grave, so it was just a number, and there was damage at a grave site where graves were being overturned, and they weren't sure what stone went on what grave. And he had to remember what grave, and his father died when he was like 6, 7 years old. So he had to go under hypnosis and go back and try to remember what it was. And he was crying and all that.
It seems like
stuff.
an iconic episode in your mind.
Yeah. I mean, look, if this was
sounds like a daddy issues episode.
Episode 4. If this was Different Strokes, of course, it would be the bicycle shop episode.
Fucking poor Gordon Jump, man. He was the Maytag man after that, but it wasn't the same.
No,
he couldn't shake it. Like, he was no longer the guy from WKRP.
No,
and he just couldn't shake. Like, I think it kind of ruined his career. But what I do want to also add is that Jamie Foxx and Wanda Sykes will play George and Wheezy.
Oh, that's great.
Although I'd picture Wanda Sykes as more of a Florence.
Yeah.
But, I guess she's getting long in the tooth to play Florence. Ellie Kemper, who's the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. She's Gloria.
That's great.
Will Ferrell will appear as...
Meathead.
No.
Oh?
Tom Willis, who was the white guy on the Jeffersons.
The tall... Oh, and God, fuck you, Joe. You now have me going down this rabbit hole. Look up who that guy is.
Yeah.
Holy, he's one of those bit characters on this show that's this Shakespearean 30-year run in England, like the English version of like Broadway.
No, not the guy with the megalo. Not the guy next door.
Oh, the doorman.
No, the white father of Lionel.
Oh, right. Okay.
Tom Willis.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not Mr. Bentley.
Look at
Bentley.
you.
Right.
Look at you. But yeah, that's one of those things.
He had acromegaly. That's what it was. Acromegaly, which was like, and I guess somebody pointed it out to him once, and like he didn't know that he was diagnosed, and then he went to see a doctor, and he's like, yeah, you gotta have acromegaly. So and maybe he got treatment for it. But anyways, so that there's gonna be that, and it's happening on ABC May 22nd from 8 to 9:30.
They doing them live?
No.
Okay.
No, but it's called Live in front of a studio audience. Norman Lear's All in the Family and the Jeffersons.
Dude, that is so. nothing but
I hope
Bruins
I
win
hope,
will make me happy.
I hope Norman Lear makes it that long. He's in good health.
Right.
He's in great health.
Yeah. But
him, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, all in good company. Let's just don't put them on a plane and fly them over to
Buddy Holly.
Yes,
special.
The day the comedy died.
Yeah, dude, that is great. Thank you for that. Look at them. Had I not tuned into this podcast, I wouldn't have known that. So thank you. I am foregoing my parenting tip for the week.
Great,
but I will when we post this. Like I was reading today, and there was an article online. Conan O'Brien's best 25 tweets about parenting. And I'm thinking, I can't compete with this. Like one of those. My son asked me where babies come from. So distracted, I told him, everyone's going to die someday. It's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm either just going to steal his, or you know what? I'll point us towards the Twitter accounts of Carnival Podcast, Up to Grabber, or the Jacques 4, where I will post. I will probably reply to the posting of this podcast with a link to that.
Right. By the way, a little titter.
Hello.
Hey now, a little Twitter tip. I think when you mention Carnival Podcast in your replies to other people, unwarranted and unsolicited, which is fine, I think if you put at Carnival Podcast at the front of the tweet, only people who follow Carnival Podcast will see.
Do I have to put a dot in front of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those little tips. So yeah.
I don't know. I'm old.
That's all right. I'm old too, baby. But I was letting it slide for 2 years. But what the hell? We'll go out with a bang. Let people see these magical tweets that you're.
A lot of it, it's like I want to remember to talk to you about it. So that's my way of saying, "Hey, Joe."
Right. I'm
not smart enough to remember this in 10 minutes, but you probably are. So
I'm not.
Here you
checked
go.
out.
But at the same time, I can go to my replies and see, because when I do the rundown, I'm like, what did I send Joe this week that I wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I basically realized that you're bookmarking little stories for yourself.
in my mind.
It's your version of Memento. Like, instead of tattooing these articles on your body so that you'll remember them later.
I will like to go out. It's like so I'm very bummed that it hasn't played a show this year. And I was saying that, our bass player Sean wanted to play like a show a month, and Dan wanted to play 9, and I would split the difference by doing
show for 3 songs,
three to 4. We're now pushing getting close to May, and Dan's had to redo his entire basement where our rehearsal space is. So we're going to.
Where's the GoFundMe for that?
We're probably not going to play a show out till August, but on Dan's last thing, we've been playing this one song a lot before the little hiatus we're on. And for the last 3 days, it's just stuck in my head on loop. So hopefully it gets stuck in your head on loop. So I'd like to go out on Best Ever by
Best
Dan.
You'll Ever Be.
Yeah.
That's what the word said down here.
I think the song is Best Ever.
Oh, is it Best Ever?
Lyrics are great. You're wondering, reminiscing back and wondering if that's the best you'll ever be. It's one of his songs. It's it's upliftingly depressing.
Reminds me of the Edith Bunker line to Mike talking about Archie. He ain't never gonna be anything more than what he is right now.
And scene.
Yes.
You have any last thoughts?
You
got a parenting tip?
No, I do not have a parenting tip. Oh, actually, I do. Make sure that your kids never, ever, ever start a podcast. Ever. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty that they have inside. Give them a sense of pride. That's all the black I know. I suck. I keyed. Jacques, please don't forget.
Standing there right beside you, people you've been before. The youngest one is from high school. He don't know you can't be sure. It's just wait and see. Remember what gets you wondering. You've already been the best you'll ever be. The 20-something you's hungry, impressively. 30-something you's longing for the you were in your teens. Can't be sure, it's just wait and see. Remember what gets you wondering. You've already been the best you'll ever be. Can't be sure, it's just wait and see. Remember what gets you wondering. You've already been the best you'll ever be. Standing there right beside you, looking listless and bored, and just a bit disappointed. The people you've been before. Can't be sure, it's just wait and see. Remember what gets you wondering.